Hey guys, Comet here. Welcome back to Oxygen Not Included. In the last episode, I expanded my rocketry program by getting into cryofuels here. Have liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen fueling hydrogen rockets. You can see I also worked a little bit on the heat spike down here. Still missing a little bit of diamond, but I am taking trips with rockets on the right side and rockets over on the left side. I also doubled the liquid fuel production here. And I'm supplementing a little bit of this bomb with some extra hydrogen back down from this bomb, feeding the left housing unit, and over on the right side from this housing unit. Now you can see this one's backed up, so just on bridge priority, it's going into the generators here, just so that nothing in this bomb can back up. I also did a little bit of work with some compost between episodes, just cleaning up the rest of this polluted dirt here. I do want to move away from sandy shells and even the ethanol distillers. The only reason I have these sandy shells is to process polluted dirt. The only reason I have a whole bunch of polluted dirt is because of these distillers. Right now, I'm only using them to make surf and turf, which has a quality of +4. Surf and turf just takes barbecue and seafood. But in this episode, I want to switch over to frost burgers, and these are actually the best food item in the game. These give the ambrosial +6. And all they take is frost buns, lettuce, and barbecue. There's no seafood involved at all. So I can actually just get rid of these poke shells entirely, switch over exclusively to compost, and then eventually I actually won't even need this tree farm. It is really powerful for what it does. You just supply a little bit of polluted water and you get tons of food and power out. But space-wise, it's not that great. So the plan for this episode, I'm not going to be removing this yet. I need to get the new system in place first. There's some space over here on the right side of this housing unit. I'm just gonna plow through this whole biome here. And I'm not too worried about the spigot seals going extinct. There's another little section over here that has a few. So I'm just going to put in a whole bunch of ladders here, and then get this whole thing dug out. Now, while my duplicants are doing that, I can go over to the food calculator on Professor Oakshell's site, right here, to the food tab. I plan on having 50 bottomless stomach dupes. I'm going to overestimate a little bit, just to compensate for any inefficiencies. I'm going to set this to frost burgers. Now there's two options for frost burgers. I can use sleet wheat or I could use megafrons. Now megafrons, these actually take chlorine gas. They'll take 843 grams a second. Based on my current geysers, I'm only making 100 chlorine gas. So I'd have to either geotune my chlorine geysers or come up with another source of chlorine. If I geotune them, well, that's going to take more duplicants just to run the geotuners. So I think I'm going to stick to sleet wheat. These only take dirt and water. Very easy to fertilize. If we look at the options here for how I grow them, the sleet wheat will be domesticated, but the water weed, I'm going to make these wild. That way I don't have to spend bleachstone on them, because bleachstone's kind of a pain to make. I can either use the bleachstone hopper, or I could ranch puffs. And if I look at the amount, it's really not that much at all. So making an entire ranch just for pitiful amounts of bleachstone, I really don't think is worth it. So I'm just going to ranch these, or farm these wild. If I look at the number, it's 50 plants. I can actually cut that in half by using the farmer's touch. And these ratios here actually fit really neatly into a nice box-shaped farm design. I won't be using farmer's touch on the sleet wheat. I actually want these to consume as much water as possible. And so by not fertilizing them, it increases the number of plants I need to maintain the same output. I need more places for water to go because I have too much water. So I'm going to be rounding these to 40 sleet wheat plants and 30 water wheat plants. Once all of this gets cleared out, I can go ahead and show you that design. But in the meantime, let's take a look at this printable. I also want to take on a lot more duplicants in this episode to increase my oxygen consumption, which will increase oxygen production, which will also, again, increase water consumption. I need more places to put all of that water. I think this is ambitious, but I should be able to fill out all of the duplicants and have one of each unique duplicant by the end of this episode. That does mean we'll need to go get George, but since I'm making high quality food, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. I do want to replace Sonyar here. I don't want my bionic duplicants on any specific tasks. I'd rather them just be more general purpose dupes. And then I also need one to take over Chip's responsibilities on ranching. So let's print Ashkin here after I modify you. You can be farming and ranching. Also interested in suit wearing. Let's turn you into a farmer rancher. So animal lover, buff, green thumb, twinkle toes, and then the same -3 that I gave everyone else. Go ahead and print you. And come back over to spreadsheet. So Ashkin, right here, you will be ranching. That means we can take Chip and assign you to general. Let's put Ashkin in the left housing unit. And you are on the PM schedule. Okay, that works. So the left PM schedule, we will put Ashkin there. Let's tinker a little bit with priorities. Chip, no longer ranching or farming. That is going to be done by Ashkin here. And now I want to look at George here, see how we acquire him. So there's some quests here I need to do. Let's first knock on his door. Hermit recruitment progress. Initial contact was a success. Our new neighbor seems friendly, though extremely shy. They'll need a little more coaxing before they're ready to join my colony. Alright. What else do we need to do? Deliver food to the mailbox. Has to be 3 unique food items. Quality great or higher. Okay. Improve nearby decor. And then supply power for 3,000 seconds. That's 5 cycles. That shouldn't be too difficult. I can just run some power over from here. I can drop off some surf and turf. Once I start making frost burgers, those will count. I just need to come up with one more food type. Let's see, what is the easiest food type that I can make of great quality? So stuffed berry would work. That's +4. Pepper bread would also work. Mushroom quiche, that would work, but I don't have mushrooms. Curried beans would work. No, they take nosh beans. We're not going to do that one. Yeah, so I can make a few batches of pepper bread once I get the sleet wheat grain going. Just combine it with some pinchy peppers, which I have a ton of. drop those off in the mailbox for George. But there's power. Let's work on decor. Let's get in some statues. And maybe some paintings here. Liam's hard at work decorating this for George. Oh, someone just delivered some surf and turf. The Hermit loved this food. Okay, cold biome is gone now. Let's start mapping out how I want to do this sleet wheat farm. So I'll leave some space in between the housing unit and the farm. I'm actually going to move the ladder to be right here. That way it gives some space for airflow between the two. So the wild water weed is going to be on the bottom. I'm going to have 5 natural tiles there. And then 5 natural tiles over here. Look at the dimensions of this. This is 96 tiles in here. And that is the exact size of a greenhouse. And this will allow me to use the farm station right here in the middle. So that's 5 plants on this side and 5 plants on this side. I only need 25, but because of how big each floor is, I'm going to round that up to 30. And then technically this doesn't have to be insulated. It does need to be insulated at the top. So the sleet wheat is going to go above that, up in this area. And the sleet wheat needs to be kept pretty cold. If we take a look here, this only grows between -55 and 5. Which is kind of annoying, because the water required to fertilize it can't get much lower than about 5 degrees before it starts to freeze in the pipes. So to keep things cool up here, I'm just going to have a steam turbine thermo-aqua tuner combo, and then that should be 10 wide there. Yep, 10 wide. And that'll give me 40 sleet wheat plants. And then for duplicant access, I've actually got these cool new things, which you might have already seen me use up by the rockets. We've got these insulated doors. Okay, so I'm going to turn the dupes loose on this, and then come back once they've made some decent progress. Oh, Hermit recruitment progress. The Hermit is very excited about being on the grid. That means, yep, the only thing I have left to do is deliver better quality food. And I've been thinking a little bit of how dupes are going to get in and out of this thing. And I forgot, I have access to Visco Gel now. Which means I can make some liquid locks on the sides. So, hold up there, guys. I'm going to redo this a little bit. I'm going to come out 2 extra blocks on each side, so that I can put in a Visco wall instead of these insulated doors. That way, on top of controlling temperature, I can also control the atmosphere in here. Sleet wheat can grow in carbon dioxide, which is considered a sterile gas. So if there does happen to be some sleet wheat on the ground, it'll be preserved just a little bit longer in CO2 than it would be in oxygen. And carbon dioxide has much worse thermal conductivity than oxygen. So I'm hoping that I can keep the CO2 on the plant really cold, but then the cold CO2 won't interact with the farm tile to cool off the water in the pipe. Alright, natural tiles are in place, well, except for that one. Now I just need to get a pip in here with some seeds. Drop off a storage bin. Who's gonna be the lucky pip? Let's take this one. Let's relocate you. Over to here. Put in some waterweed seeds. And then to prevent them from planting where I don't want some yet, I'm gonna put some ladders here. Pips have to plant from right to left and from top to bottom. And I'll also need a little bit of water in here. Well, actually, I think it could be any type of water. So waterweed can grow in water, salt water, or brine. I have plenty of water, so let's just set these to water. So I've just got a really thin layer of water here. That is a new printable. Now I already have a Gosman. The reason it's showing me another Gosman is because the one I have is stuck in a rocket. Now let's re-roll this. I could take a Lindsay, have you replace Sonyar at the grill. So let's give you cooking, suit wearing, and supplying. Buff and Twinkle Toes, I'm putting on basically every duplicant. And with Rock Fan, you end up being a perfectly balanced duplicant. Let's take a look at the spreadsheet. Lindsay here will be cooking. Sonyar, you can go do general stuff now. Let's put you in the right housing unit and auto-assign to the morning schedule. Yeah, that should work. So, Sonyar, thank you for your services, but we no longer need you to cook. That is going to be Lindsay's job now. Let's see if this pip does what I want it to do here. Got 24 seeds. Go ahead and plant them for me, come on. Yes. I think I see it in there. Waterweed growing, 0%. Okay, good, it worked. So I'll keep going through the slow and tedious process of deleting these ladders one at a time. Can also get in the liquid lock while I'm thinking about this. So just a bottle emptier here, pointing into the door. I'll get in some Visco Gel. Same up here. Start doing some Visco Gel there. Let's actually figure out the plumbing here. So I need a cooling loop that can cool the turbine and the atmosphere. Well, the turbine's already in the atmosphere that this is cooling, so I really only just need to cool the atmosphere. But I've got to dodge all of the plumbing for the incoming water. This output's going to come straight down. Let's get that out of the way. So right above the plants here, this is where I need the cooling to be. Very easily. Just come in there. Go out over to there. And then I think I've got some extra space here. I can just go through a bridge there. The bridge here. Okay, yeah, that works. And then that can jump. And this is going to be in carbon dioxide, which doesn't have that great of thermal conductivity, so I'm going to put in a conductive panel here. Then realistically, the incoming water could just hit both of those bridges, come down to there, nothing to dodge. Alright, that works. The automation for the aqua tuner, really simple. I've got just enough room for a buffer right here on this side. I'm gonna fill the loop from right here. We'll get some super coolant in there. And this is the visco gel lock that I want to use. So it'll stack up 2 tiles tall because it's so viscous. And then on the other side, I can do the same thing with a vacuum in the middle so that there's no heat transfer. Really, it's not that important for the waterweed. It's really important for the sleetweed, though. Now I'll just get this vacuumed out. Gotta use mini gas pumps here, nothing else will fit. And to power this aqua tuner in the center, I think I'm actually gonna steal some from the base over here. I have this transformer not doing anything. So, out of here, let's go this way. And then over to the aqua tuner there. You morons. You're all stuck. Just dig it out. Oh my god. Oh, it looks like the last waterweed here has been planted. Let's take this pip, get you moved to the next location. Let's also relocate all these waterweed seeds to here. I'm going to redirect all of the carbon dioxide. So instead of going into here, I want it to instead go this way. Into here. And eventually into here. I do need to pull a vacuum in this area. Hey, another duplicant. I could take on a nails. Let's see, what do I actually need? So I've got 6 operators, 7 builders, 3 farmers, 4 ranchers. Maybe I balance this out and do 4 and 4. Nails can help out with farming. So Nails, you will be a farmer in the left housing unit. So let's print you. Be on the left PM schedule with an interest in farming and secondarily ranching. Alright, vacuum's achieved, at least in this lower section. This upper section is going to take a little bit longer, but I can start putting on the vents here to release some CO2. Now technically, this water is completely fine. I don't even need a gas up here. But I'm going to fill this up with CO2 anyway. And now I can actually plant the sleet wheat. Oh, that's right. I need the printing pod for this. The grain is the seed, and they all rotted. When's my next print? Half a cycle. Okay. There it is. Let's change this. Now I can pick exactly what I want to print. I don't have to re-roll. Where is sleet wheat? There it is. Let's print some of you. immediately get that planted over here. But I think the most tedious part of this whole thing is monitoring this pip, making sure they plant in the correct order. Almost done. Just got this last row to do at the bottom. And then any grain I actually get from these sleet wheats here, I just have to repurpose back into more plants. And once I get everything up and running, then I can start turning it into frost buns. So it's gonna take a while for all of this to populate. I think I'll come back once that happens, and then go over any other duplicants that I might have taken along the way. I was hoping to catch the first batch, but I just barely missed it. The sleet wheat grew up to 100%, and these actually make 18 at the end of their cycle, but it takes 18 cycles to grow. So on average, you do get 1 per cycle. But these are all getting filled in now. The waterweed grew up a long time ago. Now that all of these are planted, I can use this extra sleet wheat. Come over here. Let's make some pepper bread first. I only need 1 of these. I want to get that delivered over to George. And then he will be basically the last duplicant. There's only 2 more I could take. George is one of them. If we take a look at the spreadsheet, who am I missing? Ruby. I don't have a Ruby yet. But in the interim, I took on a few more duplicants. Took on Travaldo and May to help out Bubbles and Turner with supplying. I took on Bert to help out with building. I took on Hassan and Harold to help out with operating. And then Ruby, the last one, will probably go into operating, just so that I have an even number of operators and builders here. And then George, I actually don't know where I'm going to put George. I think he might end up being just a general purpose duplicant like the Bionics. First batch of pepper bread. Now, before anyone eats that by mistake, I'm going to disable that. Right. Oh. Right here. I don't want anyone eating that. That is reserved for George. May's delivering here. George is going to come out and grab it. The Hermit loved this food. And the last thing I'll feed him is the frost burgers, which I will be switching the entire colony over to, so I don't have to worry about any other extra food types now. For how good frost burgers are, the farm required to make them is really not complicated at all. Even something like curried beans, which is only a +4, is harder to make than frost burgers, because you need nosh beans, which are terrible to farm. They need ethanol. And then you also need tonic root, which is only... Oh. Data not found. Well, it should link to this, the Delcativol. Or Delectivol. This is the only way to get tonic root. So you need to have a full-on regolith collector to feed these guys, just to get tonic root to make curried beans, along with the most difficult plant to farm. So why curried beans is not better, I don't know. I can start making some frost buns here in the grills. Let's enable the frost burger here. Oh, I can't yet. I need to make a frost bun first. Oh, there is the last duplicant. Should get a ruby. There she is. Alright, we'll print you. Oh. I've added a new entry to my log. Out of blueprints? I've officially run out of unique blueprints from which to print new duplicants. So I've got 1 of everything, except for George, which we will be getting soon. So, Ruby, you are going to be an operator. in the left housing unit. Now let's put you on the evening shift. And every time I print another duplicant, I can see my frames dropping. Well, you can't see the overlay, but I'm down to about 15 frames a second now. That's just because pathing is the most taxing part of this game. So I think in the next episode... Oh, it's super hard to scroll out. I need to block up parts of the map that I'm not using. That way duplicants can't path there. And that'll save on some pathing calculations. So for instance, if I just click on Higby here, and I show the navigation, Higby can go literally anywhere on the map. So the game has to calculate this path 50 times, because I have 50 duplicants. Critter pathing also causes some lag. So I do plan on cutting down the number of critters I have. I want to switch over to more mechanical solutions. So like instead of poke shells, I could have compost. There's no pathing that needs to be calculated for a compost. And once I get frostburgers going, I technically don't even need this entire thing here. The ultimate goal will be to remove arbor trees from the equation, which means I won't need ethanol distillers, which means I won't be making all of this polluted dirt, which also then means I won't need so many composts, which also eliminates the need for poke shells. I will be keeping some petroleum generators and slicksters. This combination is just too powerful to not use, and I need to supply barbecue somehow. So in conjunction with this small little farm here, I could put, maybe in this area, that might be a little tight, maybe down here somewhere, I could put 2 sets of petroleum generators, so 10 each, or 10 on each side, all feeding slicksters. That way I have power and food. But it looks like our first frost bun has been made now. I should be able to enable, yes, there we go, frostburgers. I really wish there was some kind of a priority system within a building. Because I don't want my barbecue going to surf and turf. I'd rather it go to frostburgers. I think I have to just completely disable surf and turf now. Let's only make frostburgers. Higby. Cooking frostburger. Hey, there's our first frostburger. Okay, let's make sure that gets over to George. Here it comes. And I've never actually unlocked George before, so... Nice. Hermit loved this food. And we completed the mysterious Hermit story trait. So, George... Oh, I can't... Oh yeah, I can. Huh, excellent. What do I want you to do? So you're stuck with Ancient Knowledge and Charismatic. Let's get rid of Green Thumb. I suppose if you're a general purpose duplicant, I could just give you everything. Animal Lover, Buff, Caregiver. Well, I'm not going to give you Diver's Lung. That defeats the purpose of this whole series. You're never going to be stressed, so that's not going to do anything. I'll skip Early Bird and Frostproof, Germ Resistant, Gourmet, no. Okay, Grease Monkey, Green Thumb, Andy, Innately Stylish, and I don't care about that one. Quick Learner, Rock Fan, Twinkle Toes. Alright. So that's a plus 20 duplicate. You'll be interested in suit wearing, ranching, building, farming, operating, tidying, and supplying. I think it's a fair and balanced duplicant based on how much work it took to get him out of the container. Let's print you. My sweet duplicant's efforts paid off. Our reclusive neighbor has agreed to join the colony. The only keepsake he insists on bringing with him is a toolbox, which, while rusty, seems to hold great sentimental value. Now that he'll be living among us, his former home can be deconstructed or repurposed as storage. Alright. Welcome, George. You, where do we want to put you? So George will just be general, since he can literally do everything. Put you on the left. And the morning shift is fine for you, yeah. I'm going to relocate this rusty toolbox to George's bed. Which one did you take here? I'll just assign you. You haven't picked a bed yet. There you go. You're going to sleep there. Let's relocate this to George's bed here, since he wants to keep that toolbox with him. This is just in the way now, so let's get rid of this. Well, I'd say we've made very good progress in this episode, especially since we unlocked George. We've got all 50 duplicants now on Frostburgers, so I'll go over the overlays one last time here. Here is the plumbing. It's just a cooling loop and a fertilizer loop for the water. There's basically no automation at all, just on the aqua tuner there, set to run at 0 degrees. These visco gel locks here on the sides aren't necessary for the water weed, and it's actually not even necessary for the sleet wheat. It's just a more convenient way of getting duplicants in and out, rather than setting up a whole transit tube point. But wild planting water weeds, I think, is really the only way to grow these, because supplying bleachstone is a pain. I decided to grow the sleet wheat domestically because water and dirt is very easy to supply, and it keeps the numbers down. And if I didn't have these farm stations, I would need double the space to house all of the water weed necessary for the Frostburgers. So, final dimensions, it is 38 by 26. It's a nice, even box. The only thing I'm unhappy about is that there's no way to center this steam turbine, because it's an even number of blocks wide. It looks good for the aqua tuner and the farm stations, but as soon as you look at the steam turbine, it's missing a block right there. But OCD aside, I think this is a really good design for Frostburgers. It can supply all 50 duplicants with enough lettuce and sleet wheat for Frostburgers. And if I decide to maybe double the amount of duplicants I have in the future, I doubt I will do that because I already have barely any frames to play with. But if I do, then I can just stamp down another one of these over on this side, right in this area. So I'm really gonna have to start getting my frames under control. It's getting a little painful to play. So I think in the next episode, I'll have to figure out where I'm gonna be putting, or where I'm gonna be finalizing everything. That way I know which parts of the map I can block up and which parts of the map I still need access to. But that's gonna be it for this episode. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.